So we are back. We are back and not alone. We have our startup leaders with us. Before starting with the pitches, I would like to give a few small organizational information. After each pitch, our judges will ask questions and comment. And you, as the audience, also have the opportunity to provide feedback or ask questions through the chat. We will, of course, try to answer any question which comes through the chat, but if we are not able to complete that, we will definitely pick up those questions and send you the replies later on. That is the first one. The second is you can participate in the judging. Once the pitch session is over and the judging part, you will find on the right side, besides chat, you will find polls. And the polls will show a red dot, and then the poll is open, and you can go in and provide your vote. At the end, at the very end of all the sessions, we will elect a winner, and your vote, the audience vote, will be counting for one complete vote plus the individual votes of the judges. At that end, then we will announce the winners of this event. And with this, and no further delay, I would like to start the introduction of the startups. And after that, we will start directly with the pitches. Thank you for this beautiful video. And with this, we are going right into the first startup.
Grocery shopping is not extraordinary and probably something that we take it for granted. Do you think by the year 2030, you will have the same selection of products at comparable prices to those of today? In the next 8 years, we need to increase agriculture production in at least 50%. But we live in an overexploited planet that has limited spaces and resources. Sourcing vegetable is becoming a growing challenge that directly affects the supermarket and us as customers. In addition to the rampant problems related to climate change and growing demand, supermarkets are facing several systematic obstacles to reliably source fresh vegetables year-round with standard costs, quality, and availability. These problems include expensive logistic costs, which can be up to 70% of the end product price in international markets. There are long transit times for harvest to the point of sale in product that on average only has a post-harvest life of 8 days. This creates a substantial waste that can be up to 55% of leafy green products in the Americas. There is a lack of regulation worldwide regarding agriculture production, and retailers must expend millions of dollars to train agricultors on an ongoing basis to meet the minimum standards. These obstacles are global problems that impact locally and where we see an opportunity to contribute with a solution. To provide agri-food security using simple, affordable, and efficient technology, with controlled environment modular farms, replicating the optimal growth factors to cultivate vegetables on a commercial scale throughout the year, regardless of climate or geographic conditions. We have created a concept of technological package for installing crops in or outdoors, adjusting to the climate needs, to space, and production potential. Our revenue model is the sale of modular farms tied to subscription service for the controlled environment software, scheduled maintenance for the agronomic operation, food packaging, and product placement at the point of sale. We are a strong and diverse team with the technical and agronomic, commercial, and strategic capabilities to scale this business. We have an operational prototype with 2 controlled environment select sections. Our software can produce 4 crops with commercial production yield, and we are currently finalizing the construction of 2 pilot farms of 20-foot containers powered by solar energy, leading system of its types in Latin America. The controlled environment market has valued $3 billion during 2018 and estimated to grow over $13 billion worldwide by 2026. What makes it different is our modular technology that can take crops directly to the stores, and our business model in which we can do everything for our clients. We can produce the freshest leafy greens of the market by offering everyday, same-day harvest lettuce, basil, and chard, with full traceability and minimizing the impact that traditional agriculture causes on the environment. Also, we are focused on the development of superfood veggie, boosting their nutritional value with the help of the controlled environment. Our solution gives our clients the unique competitive advantage to securely plan the stock, simplify the logistic chain, obtain the freshest product in the market, and a tool for sustainability initiatives, all of which positively impacts in the brand image and consumer loyalty. We have a clear roadmap. We aim to be a global company, starting by expanding in Latin America in the next 3 years. We forecasted to sell over 1,030 units with this corresponding subscription service in 5 years. To continue the adoption of new products to our system, including 12 leafy greens, 5 microgreens, and 4 fruit vegetables like tomato, peppers, and others. In the same period of time, we will reach an income of over $9 million per year and growing. To finance this growth of sales and research and development, we need an investment of $1.2 million in 2 rounds, creating a value for an exit by being acquired for a regional competitor or regional traditional agricultural existing player. We are in interesting opportunity for investors in the US who are seeking a startup in Latin America with rapid growth potential. We have several projects lined up, and to materialize them, we need finance and support. This is why we are here today at Financial Lab, and we invite you that together we create today the agriculture of tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Eduardo, for the presentation and for the last minute jump in for Maricruz.
Well,
as I said, I was not even aware of it. So, but you did very well. Thank you so much.
Well,
with that, I'm handing over to the judges, and want to ask who wants to start. Greg, Michael, Mark.
I can start.
Michael, please go.
Yeah. So you're talking about, if I understand correctly, and we've met before, but
yeah.
Just to summarize, you want to make in containers or modular units something that's done on large industrial farms.
Yes.
The question that I have is, large industrial farms have economies of scale. They can buy stuff much cheaper than you would be able to. They can produce stuff cheaper. They can, pretty much on every single level, they will be more competitive as far as pricing and sourcing, and from a supply chain perspective than you would be. So can you talk a little bit about why making stuff small scale is better, economically speaking, than making stuff large scale?
Well, the thing is that our aim is to reduce the carbon dioxide emissions. That's the main reason of this. Okay, so the thing is that if we have our farms where all the customers will be, the logistics change of that is, or the produce change of any vegetable will be 30 meters, 50 meters, from the site of the production. Now, but one of the main reasons about being there is that for a retail perspective, we can produce where they want. Chile is a large country. It's over 4.5 and it's very long. Okay, so you have different cities where all the vegetables here are not produced, like in Punta Arenas. It's a very cold place, and you don't have even the ability to do something like that. If you're going to have a large building just for this, it's not very economical to initiate this in the first place. You have a lot of capital investment there, instead of a mini factory that you could be in a container, so you can skip it wherever you need, and it's economical for the retail to do.
Okay, so you're saying that your customer is willing to pay higher prices because you're made locally.
Yes.
Okay, and you can back that up with some market.
Yeah, because the thing is that if you like Santiago is a 7 million city. Okay, Punta Arenas 350,000 people. Okay, and in that case scenario, when you have to transport all the vegetables from where it's produced to where it's demanded, okay, and all that movement is come by the retail store, and that's adds a cost that they in this that is not for the unit. For them, it's something that it's okay with the price that we have.
Thank you.
Okay.
Economically.
Other question, Greg.
Yes.
Greg, you wanted to ask a question?
Yes. I'm not familiar with what the regulatory requirements are for this type of technology. What do you have to get any kind of regulatory approval to sell your units?
Yes, we have. Yeah, in fact, you need. I don't know if the strictest regulatory, but if you're selling something to the public through a retail, the standards are even higher than if you go outside the retail. So yes, we need that, and we have that. So it's no problem for us.
Oh,
Olivia,
thank you.
You had a question.
Thank you for the presentation. I had the chance to meet with Maricruz as well before. So I have a question. Since you just mentioned that reducing the carbon footprint is, your main reason and part of the purpose of the company, are you considering a carbon market in the financial projections of the company? And if so, what would be the contribution of these additional incomes to your business model? So I want to understand what is the role of carbon in your business model.
Yeah, we started this. As a company that is aiming to reduce carbon and obviously water consumption. Okay, of all the vegetables. What you are saying right now is something that we know about, but we haven't calculated at all, because we are in an early stage, and obviously you have so many things you can do, and so we are starting by some of the basics. That is getting to market and building these farms that we have two right now in our pilot mode, and the consumers to have our vegetables, our leafy greens, delicious ones. So yeah, but it's interesting that your point of view, because we know right now that we have a lower carbon emissions than in traditional agriculture. We know that.
And also water.
And also water.
Water
Yes.
consumption.
Yes.
Okay. Guillermo.
Yes, congratulations and send Maricruz our regards. And I have some operational questions that I think Michael went through those, especially in how you're going to achieve the standardized operation, especially if this is going to be closer to the retailers and could be at one point competitive. But I'm a little more concerned about your competitive advantage in terms that I don't see too many elements that are patentable or IP related, and this concept could be grown on and copied. It's a matter of having more capital that you guys have if this works. So how can you protect yourselves of having competing companies create faster these modules and using your same techniques when the concept will be pretty obvious?
Yeah, well, first of all, we have spent so much time in research and development, okay, for getting the recipes to recreate the environment for these plants. Okay, that is one of the first things that any competitor will have to pass through. Okay, that is one thing. Now, during this research and development, we have developed the recipe specifically for the type of harvest that we need. So that is something that it's not intellectual property per se, but it is something that is in-house our company. Okay, so that is only for one type of harvest, and you will have a lot of different types of crops. So for each one of them, you will need. We already know the type of research and development to get in that recipe. Okay, that is the first thing. So it's not very easy to do this. You need time, you need money, you need to learn, because crops are living creatures just like us, only in a different match. So that is one of the things that is important for you to know. The second thing is that we have a software. Okay, and the software minimizes the risk about this, and that is our own software that we developed here. But it's not only software, so we can create this environment. It's also to manage all the farms, because we believe that if most of the things that are automated, not only in the physical way, and also in the administrative way to manage a farm, it will be easier for us and economical, cheaper to do all what we do. So that is two things.
Okay, Eduardo, we need to go for the last question. Mark, if you have, please post the last question, and then Eduardo, you have 30 seconds to answer.
Yeah, sure. Hi guys, thanks for the pitch.
Hi, Mark.
My question for you is, why not go wholesale? It's a premium product, and just to dig in a little bit, you mentioned it's a premium product. I live in New York City. We have a couple of competitors that you mentioned, Valley Farms, Gotham Greens, App Harvest is a portfolio company of ours. The model for them is setting up a large-scale indoor industrial farm in places that are close to, at the intersection of major highways, easy distribution, close to urban centers. Help make the case for the modular approach, as opposed to taking the technology that you have and creating large-scale indoor farms.
Well, we know that thing. Okay, but first of all, we need to test. We are testing right now. We are in pilot mode, and we have this approach in the model inside the supermarket. Okay, we believe that inside supermarkets, it's a very competitive way to approach, because you are partnering with a mega company that is international. Okay, we have four retail competitors here in Chile, and 3 of them are international. So it's a very interesting thing. We have that approach. We can do buildings, of course, because it's the same technology, it's the same business model whatsoever, because you will have the same type of client. Only thing that instead of building a container inside the parking lot, you will have a building next door. So yeah, it's possible.
Okay.
We are not the business model. You can know it's not written in stone. So yeah, you can do it.
Okay, Eduardo. Thank you very much. Unfortunately, the time is up. Please send our regards to Maricruz. Hoping that this short notice change was not something alarming. So send her our regards and all the best. Thank you. Thank you for your presentation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Diego?
Okay. Hi, I'm Diego Besler, co-founder and CFO at The Earth Says. Everything we eat is related to the bee pollination because it's the most important process for producing fruit and seed. According to Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, 75% of fruit productions in the world depend on bee pollination. But unfortunately, bees are dying. The habitat loss and degradation ecosystem affect the food sources available to bees and pollinators. That causes low quality and deficit of high for blooming process, becoming more difficult every year to obtain the desired crop performance. So we wonder how we can solve this problem. This is the reason that we created The Earth Says. We increase the crop profitability through a complete management for farmers during the blooming stage, ensuring the production process and bee health. For this, we developed 3 different technologies. First, we developed a software for measuring the heat irradiation of the beehive that allows us to quantify the population of the hive without opening it. Second, we have an artificial intelligence to analyze the behavior of the bees and the type of pollen. For example, in the photo below, you can see how our artificial intelligence works. And third, a system for monitoring variations in plant growth during the year. With all of this data in a dashboard, we are able to show to farmers the comparisons between the pollination rate achieved and the target rate to be achieved. Through our service, farmers will be able to increase profitability, generating additional income of $500 per hectare, have traceability of 100% the hive during the process, and reduce the risk of a poor pollination by 90%. During the next 6 months, we will focus on the Chilean market that has a sound market size of $9 million. In April 2022, we will open the market in Mexico because it's the largest avocado producers in the world and has a sound market size of 73 million in the state of Michoacán. And by November 2022, we will seek to open the market in California because it has more than 500,000 hectares of almond trees, being the largest producers in the world and has a sound market size of 75 million. Obviously, we are not alone in the market. There are startups around the world that are trying to save bees and improve crop profitabilities. In the batteries in the photo, you can see the level of development of the different startups in the most relevant issues. For example, our model integrates more variables, allowing us to have a greater information to make better and early decisions, and we also cater a greater diversity of crops. During these years, we have already proved that our technology works with 8 different kinds of crops. And currently, our main customers are Bayer crops and hortifruti. At the level of commercial validations, we have raised $260,000 in capital. We have a PCT patent applications field. We have 7 clients and accumulated sales of $47,000. Our business model is a business-to-business model. We provide a solution as a service for farmers through 2 recurring income models. In the first income model, we partnered and technologize beekeepers during the years, which allow us to offer farmers the best hives and a pollination optimization service. In the second income model, we optimize the pollination of the farmers with the hives that they have or rent. All of this possible thanks to a strong team with different skills. We knew each other 6 years ago, and we worked together in The Earth Says since 2019. Also, we have the support of relevant people of the entrepreneurial ecosystem, as Mario Bustamante, CEO at Instacrops, and Leonardo Álvarez, CEO at Protera, both with experience in raising capital and opening market in Latin America and United States. In this year, we are looking to raise $500,000 in a pre-seed round for a 1-year budget And the main milestones to be achieved in this stage are focused in generate a product market fit, which allow us to optimize more than 1,800 hectares, open market abroad in Mexico and United States, and integrate the use of other pollinators in our system. Regarding our sales projections, we will end the next years with sales of approximately $500,000, having monitoring 1,800 hectares. We believe that is possible, considering that among our current clients, they have 2,800 hectares, and for 2023, we project general sales over $4 million. The exit strategy for the investor is to be bought by a multinational agricultural company. We believe that we have these potentials, which would make you multiply by 55 times your investment. That is the first step that will allow us to transform into the most important global company to optimize biological system. We think everybody's part of the problem. Where are you waiting to join us and discover the new way to produce fruit and seeds? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Diego. Excellent presentation. And thank you for jumping in. You were not planned, so really appreciate it. Well done. With that, I'm handing over. Olivia, why don't you start this time? We'll try to change the order a little bit, time by time.
Okay.
Thank you very much. And it's glad to see BIOTECH team again. Congratulations on the presentation. I have one question. So for this pre-seed funding that you're looking today, you're going to be monitoring those 1,800 hectares. So what is the expected result, or what is the indicator, the concrete result you expect to get from from that monitoring that will really serves you for the growing of the business? So I want to understand, what are your expected results on that?
Firstly, our first step is validate how much we improve the yields per hectare, because we think this is the main problem that we have right now. Right now we are developing different testing in fields of grapes, in field of kiwi and avocado. And also we are working with different university and the INEA, that is a very important institute here in Chile, because the idea is try to have the credibility and the support of these entities to then facilitate the process to sell our service. Because when we talk with the farmers, they don't have much confidence related to how much we increase the profit per hectare, because we don't have much number or much data. So right now we are working a lot in trying to validate this topic.
Thank you, Diego. Mark, why don't you go next?
Sure. Hi, Diego.
Hi, Mark.
Love the fact that you guys are thinking about going global on the roadmap, even as you guys are in the early stages. Candidly, I'm not particularly familiar with this particular value chain, but can you help me understand how a business like this looks at scale? So, and I ask with the sort of sense of, when you go to a farm, when you go to a production facility, do you need to have people on the ground there who are performing the initial diagnostics and the tests and the data collection? And on an ongoing basis, what does it take to maintain a client? So, big picture question, as you think about scale, what does that entail? Do you have to hire people on the ground in Mexico who are going to be doing the initial technicians, as well as account managers who maintain this on an ongoing basis? Just trying to get a sense of what the capital intensity looks like of scaling the business.
Okay, perfect. Maybe in April 2022, we will try to open the market in Mexico. In the beginning, sales will be managed directly by us through service with large agricultural company in Mexico, which will allow us to focus in few but large clients. And then we will start with local sellers. By the other hand, our angel investor is the regional head Latin America of an agro multinationals and has his office in Mexico. And we think this help a lot of us facilitate the process to achieve a major amount of customers. And regarding to the United States market, we are in talking with Dennis Donaue. He's the director of Western Grower Center for Innovations. That is an association that has more than 3,000 farmers in the West Coast. And the idea is try to develop a small paid pilot or some skills, and that's it. And regarding to scale up the hardware, because we use hardware, we are developing a new income models where the client pay us 30% in advance, which allow us to finance the device. In the case of closing a 2-year contract, the device are given away, and we don't have to pay maintenance costs. And in the future, in the case of closing a contract for only 1 year, I already financed the device for another farmers. So we are taking some ideas or some strategy to try to improve the scalability, because we think work with hardware could be a problem, but we try to transform a problem in an opportunity in the future.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Guillermo.
Yes, congratulations. Excellent solution. I see that the market or the numbers that you're projecting are fairly low, and the impact of having a mono product for growth seems to be a big challenge for the company. So you said that you have other things on plan on the biotechnology side, but what is the value proposition of growth? Because it seems to be a limited market under the numbers that you showed.
Yes, right now the idea is trying to improve the profitability of the farmers through an pollination optimization service. But in the future, we think this is only the first step. We will try to optimize another kind of biological process. So firstly, we think it's very important focus in only one activity, and then try to expand our value propositions to other industry or in another kind of service. But regarding to the size of the market, we think start in the Chilean market allow us have attend a major diversity of crops, because here in Chile we have an amazing amount of different crops, and then go to a bigger market than as Mexico is a big is a good approach to then scale to United States. But the idea is try to give a small step, and then when we are solidify our positions in the market, then to try to find another service or another solutions.
Okay, thank you, Michael.
Yes. Diego, what size farmers are you targeting? Let's say out of small, medium, or large, out of those three categories.
Firstly, we are focused in large and medium farmers because they have more money to pay for service.
Okay.
Yes.
Thanks. So you're focusing on 2 types of farmers, and you're working with 6 types of crops. Is that correct?
Yes.
You're doing 12 things at the same time, right? Is my math right? 6 crops, yes. 2 farmers. So my concern is that as a startup with very limited resources like you have, it's really hard to just do one thing right. You're doing 12 things. So can you talk about why you're so unfocused?
I don't understand your question. Can you repeat?
Okay. So most startups don't fail because of the technology. And I'm just going to assume that your technology works. I'm assuming you don't have technology risk. Most startups fail because they can't enter the market well, right? That's the point of failure. I would say about 80% of venture-backed startups fail because there's just no market for what they're selling. So it's really hard to find one type of customer, to find product market fit in one market. You're targeting 12 markets right now.
So
Do you understand my concern?
yes. Why 12? 12 what?
You have 6 different crops, 2 different types
Yeah.
of crops.
Okay. Yes, but
Just
the
multiply those 2 things together.
yes, the idea is in the first, for example, when we will go to Mexico, we will focus only in avocado. When we will go to United States, we will focus in almonds and maybe in sweet cherries. The idea is to try to focus only in the most important.
When you made your presentation, you said you were focusing on 6 different things, and now you told me it's 2 different types of customers. So now you're saying you're only focusing on one type of crop with one type of farmer?
Yes, when I calculate the sun market size in Mexico and in the United States, I focus only, for example, in United States.
Forget your plans right now. Tell me who you're targeting and what are they doing?
Here in Chile, we are focused in avocados, sweet cherries, and blueberries.
Okay, so that's concerning to me. You're focusing on a lot of different stuff at the same time.
Hi, Diego. Great presentation. Thank you. It seems you're offering a high-tech solution to farmers. Have you found that they're comfortable with a high-tech solution like that? Do they want to see a lot of hard data about how they can improve their profitability? You said you're going mostly after large and medium-sized farms. So does that make them more open to using a high-tech solution like yours? How do they respond?
Firstly, we show for the farmers many graphics, many data, and then we will try to facilitate the process to read the information with only some alerts and some recommendations. We take a lot of time to make the change, but we have maybe approximately 50 different meetings with different farmers. So we take the decisions to try to facilitate the process and that's it. Yes, sorry.
Okay, now I just wanted to ask, your promise to your customers, to your clients, is the increase in the yields for today. You mentioned that you want to add some features in the future. So what is the variability that you have seen in between for the same crop in different locations, and how is that a risk for accomplishing, the goal or the promise to your clients?
Right now, we don't have the data to say how much we improve the yields per hectare, but we are working in trying to get this data in February 2022. But right now, the promise is select the best beehives for the pollination process. And we know through literature, yes, that a good beehives improve between 10 to 30% the yields per hectare, but we want to have our data. And by the other hand, we reduce the risk of poor pollinations because we review and we make a traceability of 100% the hive during the process. So right now the farmers don't do this in a pollination service. So with our service, at least they reduce the risk of poor pollination.
So we lost Marcus, but we are solving the problem. But now we can go with Rodrigo. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Excellent. I'm sorry for that. I apologize. I really don't know what was going on there. Okay.
You can share your screen.
Can you see the screen now?
Yes. So go ahead.
Cool. Okay. So the COVID-19 pandemic has shown us that pathogens can pose an existential threat to humanity. And can you see yeah. So and it's not just COVID that we should be scared of. It's a lot more actually. And the main issue with infectious diseases or emerging pathogens or pathogens that we knew were gone but now are back is that the asymptomatic people are contagious but they don't know they're contagious, and they're just going around spreading the disease. So we're always going to be testing today, because most of the testing for pathogens is focused on people that are ill, okay? So to avoid the spreading of disease and outbreaks, what we do need is to regular test to have early isolation, and we're not really doing that, as the pandemic has shown. So we have to test everybody. We have to test everywhere, constantly, test simple too, at low cost and accurately. Otherwise, this doesn't work, and we're going to be in big trouble in the future. Okay, and we think that Diagnosis BIOTECH will make this happen, or will make this a reality. Our motivation originally was to stop the COVID-19 pandemic. And to do this, we developed a new test called phone screen testing, by which you do a PCR test over a sample taken from a mobile phone screen. And in a study we recently published, we show that it's over 90% accurate. So it's good for one of our goals, okay? And obviously it's non-invasive, so it would be a good approach for broad population, and it's really quick at sampling. So when you make it to the test, it's less than 40 seconds and you're gone. And one of the most amazing things, or the great things about this test, is that it's cost effective. So because it's not a clinical diagnostic test, it's an environmental test, all the reagents on the pipeline is a lot cheaper, so we can do a 1/5 cost compared to regular accurate testing, okay? So we validated this method by testing thousands of people, and we showed this accuracy. We published in this journal, eLife, which is a very prestigious journal. So we have the validation after testing thousands of people and comparing the test to nasopharyngeal testing. And after we published, the news of our test traveled the world in over 150 media outlets, which is really good news. The other interesting thing that happened after we published this study is that we now know that we can also test this for other diseases. So it's not just COVID, we can basically cover any disease. We started with tuberculosis because tuberculosis is a very important disease. Now, we know that there are other alternatives to pre-diagnostic testing, like, for example, antigen testing, which is cheap, but antigen testing is not accurate. And the ones that are cheap or that are accurate, but can be more invasive, for example, saliva testing, and nobody wants to be spitting on saliva. Plus, they only give results for one pathogen at the time. And I repeat, we can test any kind of pathogen with our system. And over all these advantages of our method, POST, we wanted to be sure that we captured the market. So we designed a machine that can take samples from mobile phone screens and basically generate the analysis inside the machine and deliver the results after a few minutes, okay? And the cherry over the cake is that we have a massive unfair advantage, that we have an IP for the solution, okay? So we are now actually testing thousands of people every month in Chile, and these are a few of our clients. So we're able to maintain operational continuity in companies so people can keep on working, okay? And after a few years, after a year of operating, we're going to close at $60,000 this year. It's not crazy, but it's a very good start for our first year. We're very happy with this. Now, infectious disease market can be split in different ways, the market of infectious disease. And the way I like to see it is that we have clinical diagnostics, like by PCR, aiming to symptomatic people at high cost, okay? And this is a well-known market. It's around 150 tests a year at a 28 billion valuation. We're aiming for the opposite. We're aiming for asymptomatic people at a low cost, and we think this can be valued at $57 billion a year. The question is, how are we going to do all this? And luckily enough, we have an amazing team of graduates from the most prestigious universities in the world and holders of the great fellowships that we've all held in this group of people. And we're also going to do some really remarkable things over the next few years. So we're going to make this post-testing, on-the-go testing machine a reality in the next few years, collaborating with TTP, a company in England that we've just generated an alliance with. We hope to have this machine ready by the end of next year, where we're going to be able to analyze over 70 different pathogens, okay? And in parallel, we're also going to be validating the solution for all the other pathogens that we can test. And one of the plans we have is one of the plans that we're going to do is to collaborate with UCL, a very big university in England, and test for tuberculosis in different parts of the world, in Africa, in India, and Latin America. And the aim of this is to be able to validate our technique. Because it's a new technique, there will be some resistance. We aim that this way of validation will lower the resistance in the market. And we hope you guys join us and our company to be part of this groundbreaking solution to make the reality of lowering infectious disease or tackling or avoiding the next pandemic a reality. Thank you.
Thank you, Rodrigo, for the presentation. And from here, we're going into questions.
Who is this?
Yeah, first, congratulations. Okay. It seems too good to be true. I would love to learn how it works, and maybe you can explain. But what is the regulatory path for this? I mean, are you conducting with all these companies clinical trials or formal clinical trials, and later it is going to follow the path of medical devices, or how does this look like?
That's the beauty of this thing, that we're not following the classic clinical or medical regulatory path, you know. That's why it's cheaper as well. Okay, and we fall into like a gray area. So we're not medical, so we can't be validated by the medical kind of established regulatory framework. We're fit a little bit more in the environmental, and there's not much regulation there's not much regulation in how to norm what you test in a sample in terms of DNA and RNA, for example. So we think we're a little bit like what happened to Airbnb and Uber at the beginning. You know, they first started working, and then the regulation came after. So we're working into that space. We're interested in collaborating with governments to regulate this eventually, but at the moment there's not much there.
Cool. I have a question. The first slide you showed had reasons that we don't diagnose well. So it had anti-vaxxers on it, had other criteria of people. Don't you think those will be the same people that are going to clean their phone screens before a test is done, so that nobody has accurate data about them? So how are you exactly addressing the problem that you presented in the first slide?
Well, that's something we thought too, you know, when we did this study. So when we did the big study we published, one of the things we asked was whether cleaning the phone affected our test, and it doesn't. Okay, so what we know is that if you use if you wipe your phone with alcohol or with whatever you use to disinfect your hands, you can still find DNA or RNA there. Okay, because probably what happens is that solution will dissolve the virus or will kill the virus, but the corpse will still be there. So you can still find it. So one of the questions we did is whether we asked people if they had cleaned their phone with alcohol or some kind of liquid. And all the people that had cleaned it that were positive ended up positive with our test too. So you can't really cheat it. And I'm sure you can find ways to have like really harsh chemicals to really break down the DNA such that we can't find it, but you would also maybe affect the phone or hurt your hands. So you would have to do really something radical to make this test not work.
Excellent answer.
I can go ahead with next question. So congratulations, this is very innovative.
Thank you.
So who's your target client? Because you mentioned a lot of companies, and of course today, due to the COVID pandemic, companies are helping their employees to understand if they have the COVID, and it's part of protecting your own people. But when you go ahead to those other diseases that are not, part of what companies will do as benefits to their employees, it seems that kind of screening will be something that governments or Ministry of Healthcare be focused on. So I don't understand what is like your business model. Who are you going to look for the expansion, not just the COVID, but your pipeline?
So this is a problem that will affect everybody and everyone. Okay, so it's not just a problem of companies. At the moment, of course, it's a company's problem because they want to keep on being profitable business, so they have to keep the operation running. But for example, universities will need to do that. Schools will have to do that. Governments will have to keep track of the bugs that move around the world. If we want to stop a new pandemic, we have to be able to sequence the DNA, and we are going to be able to do that. So the answer is not very focused, but I think this is a problem that this pandemic will leave behind that's so big that it has to be addressed. And there's a lot of people that have spoken about this. Bill Gates is obsessed with this kind of idea, being able to test everybody and everyone all the time. The question is how we do it. And we think that our solution is so diversified in the sense that you don't have to have mega platforms. You can just have our machine, and that will be enough. That's a pretty good way of doing it, rather than investing in mega platforms like Bill Gates is proposing, and having the test being like processed in one central place. This is a diversified way. Yeah, that's kind of the idea. So all the information that we generate by testing will be fed to computers, and we can allocate all this information, and we can track bugs all over the world. Basically, that's the idea.
Hey, Rodrigo, I've got two questions.
Hi, Mark.
One being a shorter, quick unit economics question, and another being a bigger strategic question. On the unit economics side, it looks like a PCR test. How are you guys making this so much cheaper? Is it about the test itself, or is it the delivery mechanism, or you guys are making a test that's 20% of the cost of what a massive company like Quest is building? How are you guys doing?
Actually, it's 20% of the cost of what they sell it for and what we sell it for. But the real net cost is ridiculously low. And the reason for that is that clinical diagnostic testing needs a stamp that says it's a clinical reagent. And that makes it so much more expensive. And so we use the same kind of reagent or the same quality of reagent, but it doesn't have that stamp to fit in the clinical market. Okay, and that on its own makes it all a lot cheaper. So all the things we use in our pipeline don't have the clinical diagnostic stamp because we don't need it. So that's why we're so cheap.
Got it. Makes a lot of sense.
That's
my big picture question. The value proposition of this today is that there's demand for this quick and dirty test, right? You can do this test, and if you get a positive result, then you go and you get a PCR, or you get something that's actually clinical in nature. I would argue the reason that there's demand for this today, for that pre-diagnostic, and the reason that people would actually be encouraged to go get the true diagnostic, is that people are really concerned about getting their loved ones sick, and there are regulatory requirements in place that require us to get a PCR test before we travel. So if you turn up positive on your test, you're going to want to get a clinical test. In the future, the big picture vision, I could really see how it would be beneficial from a public health standpoint if we were all regularly testing ourselves at the workplace or at home for even the common cold. But I'm trying to think of this from a psychological perspective. In a world in which it's not like a live or die pandemic, what is the incentive for people to go into the clinical system after that? Does that become a way to sidestep getting a clinical diagnostic?
Well, we're still not out of the pandemic, and because of that, we're still not doing the maths in terms of the effect of this pandemic over economy and over society. Okay, so the scar that this will leave is still to be analyzed. So we still don't know how people will behave. But even if people behave as you say they will, that they won't have the incentive to be tested or to make themselves tested, the governments will have to address this issue, or society as a whole will have to address the issue, because another pandemic will happen. We know that, and we have to be prepared for that. So, for example, having these kind of machines in border controls is the minimum thing I think will happen, because then the borders. I mean, one of the things that made this pandemic different from for example, the Spanish influenza pandemic, is that there was not a lot of traveling in 1912, I think it was, yeah. This pandemic, the problem was that we traveled too much and we travel everywhere, you know, in planes. So we need to track bugs or the movement of new bugs before, when, or around the world before they start expanding. I think that's the answer, you know. We will need to do this if we want to avoid a pandemic that will have massive consequences on the economy.
We would have time for one more
Anybody else?
question. I'm not sure.
I'm gonna start
Greg?
moderating now.
Greg?
Yes, I have a
Greg.
quick question, Rodrigo.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a simple question. You're planning for a fundraise. What will the use of funds be, and how could you move the project forward more quickly if you raised more money?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's all a thing of speed, as you pointed out. You know, we need to be really competitive in this market, because of course we're not the only ones aiming for this juicy market. Yeah, the biggest effort we have to go through is to get the machine running quick. Okay, so we have a first prototype that can take samples. Okay, yeah. So the objective now is to really as quick as possible. Oh well, first of all, we did that machine in less than a year. Okay, it took us 4 months to make that machine. That's our first prototype. I wish I had a movie to show you, but we will have one soon, okay? And it works. So the idea is to make the lab inside the machine as soon as possible, and money make things happen. So we're aiming for that. But the good news is that we have really good partners for the development of this machine, and the technology is available. So we're not generating really anything much new. We're just putting it together in a new concept. So we're pretty confident that if we have enough money, we will be able to have a machine running in 6 months.
Super, Rodrigo. Yeah. Thank you very much. And
does that answer your whole question, or did I forget part of it?
Thank you. Thank you.
You're muted, Mark.
Yeah.
Greg, sorry.
Okay. With that, sorry for my interruption. Still don't know what it was. I had to go out and in. So with that, we are introducing our next startup. Matthias, so please start.
Hello, everyone. My name is Matthias. I am the CEO of Unibio. I think you have seen these kind of pictures before. This is the way we have been producing food for the past 70 years. Every year, we apply more than 4 million tons of toxic chemicals to the soil, and this is enough to fill 2 times the Hoover Dam in the US. All these toxic chemicals are killing the microorganisms that live in the soil and are responsible to keeping the soil productive to produce the food we eat, but also to retain the carbon that we are releasing into the atmosphere and thus accelerating the climate change. In the past months, many governments have been releasing new environmental regulations to ban the most common pesticides, because we need a new way to produce food. That's why, at Unibio, we develop an ingredient that can be used by agrochemical companies to reduce the toxicity of their formulas by half. After 10 years of research, we developed our bioparticle from natural origin that can be obtained from insects and fungi, but we obtain by recycling the waste of shrimp. From these crustacean shells, we create our small bubble. It's a capsule that works encapsulating the chemicals and releasing them over time. In this way, you can reduce the application doses. And for example, we tested on glyphosate, the most common weed killer, and we obtain an 80% reduction on the chemicals without losing the herbicide effect. There is other compounds that can be used for the same purpose of reducing the application doses, but our biggest advantage is that we are safe for food production, and we can also be combined with the chemicals already known by farmers. So our business model focuses on the sale of this particle to the companies that nowadays produce pesticides, and they can use it in both the bio-organic formulas and also the chemical and traditional ones, from fungicides to fertilizers, everything. So far, we have talked to many companies to validate the novelty of our technology. We obtained some LOIs from companies in Brazil, Argentina, and recently in South Korea. We have a few months ago started our first 3 pilot tests in Argentina to test different formulas optimizations. And we have also talked with the International Weed Science Society that they told us that if our product works in the field, as we said, the big multinationals will be very interested in our development. So our strategy is first focusing on the bioorganic formulas because they need to reduce the application doses to compete with the chemicals. And they're also a fast-growing market and bigger than 200 billion in the US. But our best and biggest market is the big scale agrochemical companies, the big multinationals, because they keep half of the 240 billion agrochemical market worldwide, and it's highly concentrated in only a few companies that mostly of them are settled in the US. From their products, we are focusing on herbicides, because imagine if we can convince one of these 4 companies in the US to optimize only one of their products, the glyphosate, we are talking about $1 billion business. Our next steps will be closing our pilot test we're conducting, and early next year, we are opening our seed round to be able to set our company in the US, build our commercial team there, and scale up our solution and be able to do the field test with our clients in the global market. Unibio was founded by Vera and Claudia, 2 recognized scientists that came from disciplines that do not normally work together, material science and life science, and also a diverse team from business and science with experience to carry on this project. We understand that keeping soil healthy will be the key in the fight against climate change, and we are here to help chemical companies to create better products. Join us to accelerate the global transition to a more sustainable agriculture. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthias. Great presentation, and we'll invite the judges to post their questions. I'm looking at Guillermo. Guillermo, do you want to start?
Sure, thank you. Congratulations, Mattia and team. 2 quick questions. The first one, can you explain the regulatory path for this and how this looks like in terms of money and how to bring this forward?
Okay, yeah. We as an input to manufacture the agrochemicals, we don't need any specific regulatory to start selling our product. But because we are not selling directly to the farmers, we are selling for the big companies. But our clients, they should pass all the regulations. And normally with the chemical formulations, the toxic ones, requires around 3 years of field tests in different regions, in different climates, and with different crops, so they can be approved as safety for food. Normally, and it's different in each country, normally it's faster if they are modifying a already approved formula, they are reducing the toxicity, it's faster. And also with the 100% bio ones, the organic ones, normally the times are much faster, even months. For example, Chile will take only 3 months to release a new product if it is 100% bio. So it will depend of the type of the clients. It will be faster with the bio and a little bit longer with the chemical ones.
Thank you, Matthias. Greg, you want to go next?
Yeah, Matthias, congratulations on developing a technology to reduce carbon release. That's really a fantastic development. So that's great. But I'm concerned about the incentive for the big chemical companies to add a cost to their manufacturing, because if they use your product, it is an additional cost for them. Will the carbon release argument be enough to convince companies to take on this additional cost?
No, indeed, it's more for us because we like to have a positive environmental impact. But we know that for them, first comes money. Indeed, our product, even it's costly, as we use only a few grams by hectare to optimize the formula. The equation, for example, in the glyphosate, it's that you add a cost of around 50 cents by hectare, but you reduce like $3 in glyphosate. Of course, this also will be a problem for the companies if they are willing to sell more glyphosate, because we are giving them a tool to sell less. But at the end, they can sell a better product that can be more, it's more efficient, could be more pricely, so they can raise their revenue, their margin, the profit margin. And also, now the regulations are changing, so the new regulations are creating a new market for those companies that are capable of reducing the toxicity of their products. So, for example, glyphosate was forbidden in Mexico. I am now in Switzerland. They were discussing this year to ban almost all the chemicals used in farming. And when they say ban, this is not like forbidden the use. It's just if we detect a certain amount of toxicity, we are not going to be able to sell. But the trick is that we can reduce the toxicity without giving away the chemical that they are used to use.
Thank you, Matthias. Who wants to go next? Michael?
Yeah, so I don't have.
You need to unmute, Michael.
I have.
No, it's coming.
I think so. The challenge I have is a market entry challenge. So you said you have 9 customers globally. You have 4 customers in the US. There's a very high likelihood that those 9 customers will not want your thing. There's not a lot of customers you have to play with. So that's concern number 1. So what happens if none of them want your stuff? Question number 1, which is very likely because you only have 9 and they can all say no. This question number 2 is why would they want to use the same technology that their competitors will use? So as in, if they did license your thing, or licenses, is another question. Forget license. Let's say they bought your thing. Why would they allow you to sell it to their competitors? Because again, there's only 9 of them and they have control. So can you answer those 2 questions for me?
Yeah, for sure. So half of the market is concentrated in these 10 companies, but the other half is concentrated in much more companies. Only in Argentina, there is around 35 companies. It's also an oligopoly. It's not too much, but we already reached 10% of them, 3 of them. And this is the same all around the world. And mostly with the bio input companies, there is much more companies because it's the new market trend. So it's growing new companies in there. So our plan B will be if the big companies will not use this technology, we can also partner with the bioorganic ones that are competing with the big multinationals to optimize their formulas.
You're targeting medium and small companies. That's your bio.
But only in the bio ones, because we have a shorter cycle sale in the bio ones, not in the chemicals. In the chemicals, we are not interested on reaching them. And the second part of the question was, what if one of them use of the technology? Yep.
You answered it. You answered it by saying you're going down market.
But also we don't think.
Why don't you license? Why are you manufacturing this at all? Why don't you license your IP to someone?
Yeah. So for the big companies, our business model is to license the technology and license the way of manufacturing the particle, because we know that they are willing to have a very secure and confident suppliers. So as we are a small company, it's better and safe for them to acquire the knowledge. As it's a technology platform, it can be used with a lot of different formulas. It's thousands of different formulas. So we think they are not willing to have the exclusivity for all of them. In that case, they will acquire the company itself. It's not just only the product. I lose the track of the question.
That's you answer the question.
Good. Thank you, Matthias. Thank you, Michael. Anybody else? Olivia or Mark? Who wants to go?
So I want to briefly and very, very simply understand what is the mechanisms by which this particle works to get these reduction in toxicity. Will you be able to make the farmer to use less of the herbicide, or they will use the same amount, but the herbicide will be, encapsulated or transformed in a way that is less toxic to the soil health?
It works in both ways. So as we encapsulate nano-encapsulate, like in small bubbles, the chemicals in this biodegradable compound, as this bubble attached to the cell walls of the plants, and then start to degrade and release slowly the chemicals. So normally the chemicals we apply in the farm degrades by the sun, the wind, the rain, and you lost most of the chemicals you apply. That's why you need to apply many times and a lot of chemicals to get the results you need. But when it's encapsulated, the capsule protects the chemical from all this degradation. So then you apply less times, but also less amount of the toxic chemical. So in the herbicide, you will use, instead of one doses every 30 days, you will apply the same doses every 45 days. And then also you will find less toxics in the plants and in the soil.
I understand. So if this is the case, it's really hard for me to understand how these big, ag tech companies haven't come with a solution for that, because it's not like a rocket science thing, so.
Well, it takes 10 years to my partner to develop. And also it's in the edge of a new technology, it's nanotech. This kind of technology, we have been doing patent research to be sure that we are on the good track. And the first patents in this field is from 15 years ago. It's not that much in science.
Okay,
and also this
talking about the encapsulate, the idea of encapsulating your toxic particle, if that has been approached from one of these companies.
And I have the answer I get by talking with the big multinationals. Mm-hmm. And they told me that they knew this kind of technology, that they've been used mostly in pharmaceuticals and cosmetics, but they didn't know that it was able to be used on farming in the same way, because in the reference papers, the efficiency rate to create this particle was not good enough to be economically efficient. And that's one of the secret sauce that we have. We are 20 times more efficient than the reference papers. So we know how to create these particles in an efficient way so it can be used in a mass scale in agriculture.
Good. Matthias, Olivia, Mark, sorry, we have, Mark, I give you one question. Matthias, you have 30 seconds to answer, no more. Very crisp.
Sure. Matthias, I come from a digital health background in which solutions offered to physicians can be cheap, they can make doctors more productive. But at the end of the day, if you're changing a process of the clinician, it brings risk into the practice that people often just don't want to take. My question for you is, as you pitch to these large agricultural companies that have very established processes and supply chains and the way that they manufacture their products, how simple are you making it for a company to introduce this new ingredient into the production of their product?
Indeed, it's not very difficult to include this product in their process, because the machines we use to manufacture the particle are machines that normally they have, are spray dryers and not very complicated, but the innovation is in the process of how you use this material and how you use these machines to create a specific effect. So when we transfer this know-how, they will be able to start producing right away. At least the big companies that they have the machines.
Super, thank you. Thank you so much, Matthias, Mark. For those in the audience and for the judges, please close your judging. Matthias, while the next pitch is running, there are 2 questions in the chat. Kindly ask you to reply to those questions while Clara is preparing the next pitch. Clara, the next one
can you
is
hear me
now we can hear you.
Yes.
Perfectly fine.
Okay, let me share.
Please share your screen.
Perfect. Well, hello, I'm Clara, and today I'm going to walk you through risas pendientes. But first, let's all be honest. As a dentist, but most importantly, as a human being, I know that going to your dental appointments isn't like fun at all. We know, okay? So keeping that in mind, imagine that your dentist tells you that in order to get that dental implant that you want or need, you will have to go under a surgical procedure to increase the level of your bone. And that surgical procedure consists into putting some bone graft, that is some sort of a powder, and then cover it up with titanium. Sounds good, right? But there's a catch, because, well, titanium cannot stay longer than 45 days in your body. It can't, because it will hurt you. Therefore, you will have to go under a second surgery just to remove it. Terrible, huh? And well, this is a very frequent procedure that is done in the dental world. For instance, in the US, 60% of the patients will need a dental extraction, and 70% of that pool of patients will need the procedure that I just explained. Of course, there's another alternative. The surgeon could use, instead of titanium, he could use something called collagen membranes, which are cool because they're reabsorbable. But surgeons doesn't use it as much because you'll see the collagen is 100% flexible, so it tends to move, to tear apart, so the powder, the bone graft, just ends up all over the place, so no good. And that is why we, in Risas Pendientes, decided to take action. How? By using an outstanding technology like 3D printing, we have developed a novel medical device that has been proven to have better biomechanical properties than conventional treatment. And that is the Rebone 3D. Rebone 3D is a novel medical device that you could see here in the picture that consists in a reabsorbable membrane that is easy to handle and to adapt, but also reduce the number of surgical interventions because, well, it's reabsorbable. And it doesn't stop there because the Rebone 3D could be a standard or it could be customized upon request, something that has never been done in the field. So far, we have implanted it in 22 patients, and we know this is just the beginning, but we're really happy to share with you because none of those 22 patients had reported side effects or surgical complications. And well, how we do it? First, we contact our clients, being the periodontics, the dental suppliers. Then we manufacture the devices, and finally, the income will be distributed this way, paying special attention to development and innovation department. When it comes down to numbers, you have to keep in mind that the US is the biggest and most important market in the world. It's worth $300 million. In California alone, it's worth $23.6 million, being California our first target. Why? Because of plenty of reasons, but mainly because we have done some network there and also because it's the biggest market in the US. However, we know that in order to get that done, we need a solid growth strategy plan. And for us, it looks like this: a plan focused on improving the HR department, equipment, software development, marketing and strategies, and of course, the heart of our company, regulatory affairs, meaning getting the FDA approval and the process patent. And well, why us? Us because, as our client says, we combine the best of both worlds, the stiffness of titanium and the reabsorbable quality of collagen. But most importantly, because we're not just some device manufacturer company, no. We provide an experience because we also have training sessions for professionals. We're currently starting the development of a software for digital workflow in the dental practice that is going to be ahead. And also because we have social programs that help oral cancer patients. And that is why the secret formula of Risas Pendientes, a passionate team about bringing the best treatment available for clients and beneficiaries, is inviting you to improve oral health with us by investing $1 million to get the 10% of the market in California, which translates in $15.7K of Rebone 3D sales and $2.3 million revenue. But most importantly, because it will be the start of a great journey together, a journey that will look like this. First, getting done with the regulatory affairs, then the launch in California. Later on, get some authorized sales agents in Boston, New York, Texas, which are the following biggest markets in the US, and of course, the insurance companies in the business. So as you can see, it's a pretty excitement road that we want to share with you. So what do you say? Do we improve oral health together? Thank you.
Thank you, Clara, for your presentation. And we'll go right into the questions. This time, Michael, you want to start?
I can. You're mute. Yeah.
My apologies. Sorry about
that. No, it's okay.
So you said you're raising $1 million to get 10% of the market in California and get FDA approval.
Yes.
I don't believe that's going to be nearly enough. I also don't believe you'll be able to get 10% of the market in California within that time frame, within 2 years. But also, just the FDA stuff is going to be much more expensive than that.
Okay.
Can you address why you're raising $1 million? How are you going to spend it? Why you're so confident you're going to get that much market share?
Thank you, Michael, for that question, because we have already done some studying about the FDA and all the cost that is related to it. And because of that, we're using a product to manufacture a device that already has an FDA approval. It is within that cost, $1 million, is effective for us because we have already done some studies, and the approximate cost for the FDA process will be around $130,000. So it's a
Well, yeah, it's not. Hold on, I wasn't asking just about the fees. I'm talking about feeding you guys, moving you to California.
Yeah, exactly. We have
There's
already
a lot
done
of
all of that. Yeah, we have already done all that, and all our cost structures and the HR improvement, the equipment, the regulatory affairs, and the housing and all that. According to our studies, is around $1 million. And yeah,
for 2 years.
No, for 1 year. We just put it for a year. That is the time that we will use at first for the regulatory affairs. That it will be around 8 months. And later, after getting the FDA approval, is when the clock starts running, when the revenue comes in. That's why in the presentation we put that after the 12 months of the FDA approval, we will get the $2.3 million revenue. That is our estimate. And regarding the 10% of California, we're going to apply the same strategy that we have done here in Venezuela, that is to contact some trendsetter doctors in Cali. We have already done that in San Diego specifically. We have done strong networks there. And the 10% in California of periodontics is going to be only 70 periodontists, because in the whole state of California, the only professionals that are qualified for this kind of procedure are periodontists, and there are only 799 periodontics in California. So the 10% will be something that we are really comfortable to work with. And we have already studied the field and contact some dental suppliers that are going to be key players and the trendsetter doctors.
Cool, thank you. Just my concern is still, I've seen companies sneeze through $1 million. It's really not a lot of money, especially in your industry.
Exactly, so it's a start.
My concern is that is just way too low of a number from where I'm sitting. But thank you for explaining your plan and the research you've done.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Clara. Who wants to go next?
I have a quick follow-up
Greg,
question.
please go ahead.
I'm sorry, who was that?
Greg?
Greg, go ahead.
Okay, sorry, Mark. Clara, congratulations, great presentation.
Thank you.
You'll be taking a big leap when you begin selling in San Francisco in number of products. Are you planning to manufacture yourself, or will you outsource the manufacturing? And will you be able to scale?
Yes. Hi, Greg. Thank you for the question. Yeah, we want to manufacture, and in fact, we have studied the field, and we want to establish in San Diego, which is like our strongest networks are there. So our plan to scale is to apply like a dealership model, where the dental supplier is going to be a key player in it, because they will attract the customers, like advertising our products. So the customer will reach the dental suppliers. The dental supplier will give us the studies that we need, that are the ones that the surgeon or the periodontist in this case will ask on a regular basis in their practice. And with those studies, we in San Diego will manufacture, sterilize, and ship the devices. Whether it's going to be a standard, we will have a stock ready for it. And also, if it's going to be customized, we will do it that way. Design it, sterilize it, and ship it. So I don't know if that answers the question.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mark Cho, please.
Hey, Clara. I have a follow-up to Michael's question. Are you guys conducting your clinical trials in the United States?
Hi, Mark. Thank you for the question. Now, we have already done the clinical trials in Venezuela, filling out with the FDA form. The legal advisors that we have already talked with, they told us that this is a very valuable study or trials that we have, because we can address that to the FDA request that we're going to start working really soon on it. And because it will be valid in the States, of course, we will have to do some further clinical trials in the US, but we have some path walked by. So, yeah.
I will second Michael's feedback and just say to be cautious as you enter the US market and look to get the regulatory clearance. I do think $1 million is on the low side for what you're trying to accomplish. And even if it's it's a predicate device, like it's not a de novo medical device, even if B, you guys already have trials that are valid, oftentimes the FDA does like to see studies that are conducted in the United States with a large population of US-based patients. So just something to be cautious of. I've seen a lot of medical devices companies come in with a plan to get FDA clearance and be bringing in revenues within a couple of years, and this can drag on for years and years and years. So be very aware that and it's not only going to be you guys that may be the bottleneck. You may send your pre-sub documents to FDA and you may not get a response for months, and that is additional cash burn right there. So
thank you, Mark.
Michael's feedback, just something to be aware of.
Great. Thank you, Mark. Yes, the $1 million will be only the start for it, of course. But...
Good. Who wants to go next? Olivia, please.
Hi, Clara. Thanks for your presentation. And
hi, Olivia.
First, I wanted to say that it was a very good pitch. Very smooth.
Thank you.
Make it very clear for someone that might not be familiarized with the industry. So, when you presented your pathway for the development and for the next few years of your growth, what are the main risks that you envision in this journey? What can go bad in this journey, and how are you planning to deal with that risk?
Hi, Olivia. Thank you for your feedback and your question. What could go wrong is the regulatory affairs. We all know that. It's no secret. However, as we in Risas Pendientes are more than just a device manufacturer, we have already done some training sessions that, for instance, in Venezuela and in some other Latin American countries, we have already done it and has been a success for us. It could be a contagious plan for us in the way that we could celebrate these training sessions in California or in the US, because we don't need any permission for that. And as a matter of fact, we will need a speaker. Also, it's a very trendy topic in the dental world. So it will be a great platform for us, because first we will be able to do like a marketing strategy, and that meanwhile the regulatory process is getting done. And also we're currently starting the development of a software for the digital work planning in the dental practice that is really hip right now. Then there's only like 2 major softwares in the business, and we're aiming for that because we know that in order to differentiate ourselves from the big companies in the dental implant world, we need to bring something more. And for us is to bring in not just quality devices, but to bring in an experience with training sessions and software. So if that goes bad, we will have this contingency plan with backup plan that is also very good.
Thank you.
Thank
you, Clara. Thank you, Olivia. Guillermo, any closing questions from your side?
Yes. First, congratulations, Clara. Thank you.
Thank you.
And yes, I want to second Michael's and Mark's remarks. I think your projections are realistic, but I would like to focus on my concerns about the IP.
Yeah.
I see that you already have not filed patents. We all understand Venezuela's concerns about this. Yes, and the new law, but you're already doing a lot of presentations, publishing papers, results, and so forth, and not sure if part of this could affect potentially future IP, and so how are you going to address that as soon as possible?
Thank you, Guillermo. Yes, we all know the Venezuelan situation. It's like the elephant in the room, and that's why we haven't worked on the IP from here. Always our goal has been to get a patent, an international patent, starting in the US, because that's our goal, to get in the American market. But we haven't got any published papers, every journal, because from the beginning we have some serious legal advisors towards that team. We have look for different opinions towards it. So we haven't, according to our lawyers, we haven't said anything that could compromise our patent. So we're really calm on that matter. We're really easy on mind because of that. However, we're currently working on to get it as fast as we can. That's one of our goals for 2022. So yeah, we're really got some advices on that topic. So
when would you file?
Thank you.
I mean, before the pitch, when are you planning to make the filing?
Well, that's one of our goals for the first trimester of 2022. We're already working on the process, on the form. We're going to meet with some lawyers next week and to discuss that matter, but it's definitely on the first trimester of 2022.
Have you done an FTO, freedom to operate?
Oh, no, we haven't, but because of the lawyers had advised us to get full into the IP process from the States and then to reach a global patent. So we're going to start working on it as soon as 2022 starts.
Thank you, Clara. Good.
Thank you.
With that, we are closing the presentations. We are closing the judging. We really appreciate the feedback, the questions. Apologize a little bit for the technical hiccups which we had. It's something we don't have in our controls, but appreciate also to all the participants who were listening in. We will now, in a very short minute, we will present the results of the judging, and then those who want to stay on have the opportunity to go into separate meeting rooms or round tables where you can meet with the founders. And thank you, of course, for our judges. Some of them will have to leave. I think Mark already had to leave. I know Olivia also has to leave at the full hour. So thank you very much for all of your support in this event. And I assume that in the next seconds we will have the results of the voting. As I said, the voting is from each judge one vote, and the audience has voted as well, and that is an additional vote. So we'll have the consolidated results in a few seconds.
Marcus, I do need to jump, but
yeah,
to Clara, Eduardo, Matias, Diego, Rodrigo, everybody, it was a pleasure meeting with you guys today. This was a lot of fun, and to all the other judges, enjoyed meeting you guys as well. Looking forward to seeing the results. Thank you so much. I enjoyed this a lot.
Thank you, Mark. So now we are announcing the winners. First place, and from all 5 participants, from all 5 presenters. First place, Diagnosis Biotech. Rodrigo, congratulations. Greg, you want to say a few words?
Yes, Rodrigo, congratulations. You did great tonight, and you have a really fantastic project. And as winner of tonight's BioHunt, I have the privilege to offer you a free registration to the RESI conference, which stands for Redefining Early Stage Investment, that is put on by my company, Life Science Nation. It will be a great opportunity for you to meet with potential investors, as well as enjoy some of the excellent content at the conference. And the pass also includes the opportunity to pitch in what is called the Innovators Pitch Challenge and compete for prizes. So I'll be happy to tell you more about it and how to get ready offline, but congratulations, and I'm glad we're able to offer this to you.
Thank you, Rodrigo. Thank you, Greg. Congratulations. And of course, we have a second place. Second place goes to Unibio, Matthias. And we have the honor to offer you a check of $1,000 as a result of this great performance. Thank you so much, Matthias, and congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Matthias, well done. And with that, I want to thank the audience. I want to thank everybody who participated today, and want to invite you to, on the one hand, go into the meeting rooms, meet with the founders. If you don't have time now, reach out to us. You have our contacts. We will be very happy to connect you. And of course, hoping that in the future, we will see you very soon again in our next BioHunt, which we are doing every 6 months. So that means the next one will be coming up May, June time. Stay tuned. You will receive our invitations. Thank you much for your patience, and thank you for your participation. And with that, we are now moving you to the opportunity of meeting with the startups on the roundtables.
Thank you, everybody. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, Michael, Greg, Olivia.
Thanks, Marcus.
Thank you,
it was
Guillermo.
really great to be part of this BioHunt. I actually have to go, but I will definitely follow up with you with the contacts. And it was really my pleasure to be today here.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Guillermo, as well.